All right, we're out here at Rudolph Schindler's Druckman House from 1941. And I think of this as his later work. It was really kind of in the in-between. He did his house in 1921, and he practiced into the 30s and 40s, and he died in 1953. So this is 1941, and you see the transition from his international style architecture into the exposed framing style that came later in the mid-40s post-war.
Yeah, there's a publication that came out in the 60s that says that Richard Neutra designed the pool. And we're not sure if that's true or not, but I think it's interesting because those two had a little bit of a feud, right?
Yeah, they had a falling out over the Lovell projects.
Yeah, and so that happened in the 1930s. So this is 1941, so we think that likely Richard Neutra really had nothing to do with this one.
Maybe he could have come back in 46 and done the pool, but I mean, the Schindler details that we see here are the compression and release, which was, a Frank Lloyd Wright influence. He worked with Frank Lloyd Wright. We see the indoor-outdoor fireplace, the back-to-back, like the fireplaces on Kings Road. And we've built in light fixtures, exposed framing, and then, the compression is released in the larger volume inside.
Right. In terms of scale, coming from the street, you can drive by it and almost miss it and not even realize it's a Schindler. It's got this one level off of the street, but on the back end, it's this 3-level property that then appears on the outside, really.
They're like two different houses almost. I mean, you'd miss it. I never knew this house was here, really. Driving by, you wouldn't notice it.
Yeah, and then some of the things that Schindler did is like on this fireplace here, it's nice and squared, but on the inside it's got this one cant that actually mimics what's happening on the interior space here.
Let's go in and check it out.
Yeah.
So here we are in the living room. This is really the money shot of the house. You got the fireplace, back-to-back interior and exterior fireplace. You've got the gabled roof, eccentrically oriented, both the angle and the length. This piece has been chopped short with a big clear story window to provide a view of the hilltop beyond. And then you've got this irregular window here, and the ridge beam, the entire structure resting on this little slender steel column, which I love. A lot of people think of Schindler as, Schindler and Neutra as international style architects where everything was white and silver trim. That was more Neutra, but Schindler was very playful with color. And in here we know that the walls were greenish yellow or a yellowish green, and the ceiling, including the structural beams and the exposed roof decking, were all a rust-colored translucent stain, which you'll see in the vintage Julius Shulman photos.
Yeah, and you know that game, Where's Waldo? Have you ever seen that book where you're trying to find him out? I think it'd be great for the audience to look through and see some of the changes that were original versus where they are now. Like there was a built-in here that Lillian pointed out to me and that I didn't catch. And so there's things that they'll catch in the original that were there and are not here now, or vice versa.
And we have the Getty Center, well, really Julius Shulman to thank for preserving his archive at the Getty and writing in language that those images are to be accessible to the public. So anybody can go to the Getty website and find the vintage Julius Shulman photos for this project and every other project that he shot.
Yeah, in terms of the organization of the way the space works is he's got this gable roof that goes up that from the street level, it feels like it's this one level house, and then he shoots the roof up, creates this remarkable view for us. But on the dining side, divided by this beam that's going across, you've got the dining area, and then the roof comes back down to be an overhang for that deck on the exterior here. And then here, this beam coming across has a structural component that comes down here and divides this window. But on the trapezoid window with the beam comes across, there is no structural divider in that. So it's a nice little, it looks like it could be symmetrical, but it's not.
I'd like to know more about that detail because it is kind of a magic trick. The entire ridge beam resting on a window, so that's obviously some kind of supporting beam. And you see this condition with the diagonal cross brace. I believe this is kind of like a turnbuckle that keeps the gable from collapsing. And then he's sandwiched a little light fixture into the structure that points light down and lights the ceiling, which originally would have been kind of a rust-colored translucent stain.
So again, the compression and release, I know we talk about that a lot, but again, he's got the ceiling going up here and then he comes back down and it's got this nice little proportioned dining breakfast nook.
And this is all original. These cabinets are original. The pulls were, or the glides were redone, but the classic Schindler and Neutra pull detail is still here. You know, no hardware on the face of the drawer. You see the structure in the room exposed, the light fixtures that are sandwiched in between the structural elements, and you know, the Formica countertop.
Yeah, I mean, I could just see somebody sitting here opening up that window and just enjoying that breeze that comes through.
And this is the first glimpse we get of this corner condition. You know, this we talk about butt glazed corner conditions like Ray Cappy would have done.
Yeah.
This came before that, where there was a structural post in the corner, but you've got a corner glazed condition with operable windows.
Actually, if you noticed, every single room has that same exact element. If you go into all the rooms and you catch the B-roll of all of them, all of the rooms have this corner condition with the windows.
So this, I think, is more, this lower level, the bedroom level, is more evocative of Schindler's earlier work. You know, I do think of it as international style, although he was still very playful with the volumes. But here he's working with planes and space. There are no exposed framing elements, and it's the plaster, the butt glaze. It's not really butt glazed, but it is a corner glazed condition, and this wonderful shade pocket that is built in here and here.
Yeah, these pockets also allow for that light fixture there on that corner, which is a really nice detail. And then we didn't have the same LADBS restrictions that we used to in the past, and so this window just slides open and basically you could fall out.
Yeah,
if you're not paying
this
attention.
wouldn't qualify as a guardrail height anymore, nor would any of this single glazing. And I mean, you can't do architecture like this anymore because of Title 24 and structural and safety requirements. You know, we really protect us from ourselves in this country.
Yeah, and as we mentioned above, all of these rooms have this corner condition. So it's not the Ray Cappy butt glazed, but it's still has the corner condition.
And the clear story that gives you really a full wall of glass looking out on the canyon and the pool. So we're not sure about this pool. You know, we have a permit that says pool by Neutra. So we think this is a Neutra pool. And we're wondering if it might have been a hostile gesture to Schindler, because why would he introduce this oval with flagstone when Schindler's doing primarily orthogonal volumes with brick?
Yeah, it's a little bit of an FU possibly.
Possibly, it feels like that. But here's how you perceive the house. And this kind of reminds me of Schindler's De Keyser duplex, the massing.
And actually, if you look at it, it does kind of follow a rhythm between the mullions and the structure. I didn't even notice that in the beginning, but it does feel like there is like a grid overlaid on the building.
I think you're right, but he really was playful with the three-dimensional space. It's almost like I feel you can observe him designing from the inside out.
And I'd like to do a side-by-side comparison showing this and the street level, just to show the massing in terms of how tall the scale is from the outside, and how on the street side you would never even realize that this entire building was here.
2764 Outpost Drive in the Outpost Estates. This is listed by Lillian Pfaff at $2,975,000. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house, 1,662 square feet on just under a 7,000 square foot lot. And we will be happy to be your buyer representatives.
Yeah, Brian's gonna send out an email, so follow his newsletter, my newsletter, and you guys will see the open house listed, and it'll be open this Sunday from 2 to 5?
2 to 4.
2 to 4.
Open Sunday, 2 to 4.
Good.
I'll take it.
That was good. I think this will be a good video.